Welcome to Obsessed with Success, starring Russel Morgan.
Welcome back to Obsessed with Success with Russel Morgan, estate planning attorney, legal entrepreneur, and founder of Morgan Legal Group. With features on major media like MSNBC and a growing platform of educational content, Russel doesn't just run a firm, he builds authority that drives trust, referrals, and growth. My name is Kevin Rosenquist, and in today's episode, we're discussing how to turn legal insight into consistent, high-value content that builds credibility, attracts ideal clients, and opens new doors. Russel, welcome back. It's great to see you.
Kevin, great to be here as always. Good to see you.
So what does building authority really mean in today's legal world particularly?
Building authority is building credibility. As you said, it's a means for you to build credibility with the general public. It's a means for you to build credibility with your existing clients, with your new clients, and with your colleagues. Depending on where your work comes from and what industry you're in, a lot of the times similar professionals maybe who don't do what you do per se, but are in similar industries that align, may very well be valid resources for networking or referrals. So it's a way for you to establish your credibility in your market. And whether it's publishing articles or news features or just putting out free content like we do at Morgan Legal every single day, it's a way for you to build credibility. It's a way for you to position yourself as someone who knows something, right? Someone who can teach something to other people. I don't throw the word expert around very lightly. It's a very serious term to me, and in our profession, it means something. So it's not necessarily that you're an expert in the field, but that you're a professional in what you do. That it's something that you are able to not only share, but educate the public on.
In my intro, I mentioned your appearance on MSNBC. How did that come about? How did you get on something that's pretty big?
Well, look, a lot of it is long-term consistency. I've done a lot of news work. I've done a fair share amount of appearances. I've done live, video, depending on the platform. Over time, you build recognition, and this comes back to authority building.
Mm-hmm.
Any major platform is going to want to make sure that you've been recognized, not just on news platforms, but by the community as a whole, by your clientele, by the public, by the respective professional organizations. So they want to make sure that you're a presence on your own, so that when they bring you in, they're bringing someone who already has credibility in the industry, who can speak on the topic. Because what happens a lot of the time is, you'll appear on some sort of news article or you'll appear in some interview, and people are going to vet you. They're going to make sure that you are who you say you are. So it's important that aside from that news appearance, that you actually can show the public that you are a professional in the realm that, let's say, MSNBC is interviewing on.
Mm-hmm.
But it takes time. It takes smaller networks in some cases that give you the opportunity to build credibility. So it's not an overnight success. It took years and years of cultivation, but you'll get there with time and consistency.
How did that appearance on MSNBC impact your firm? Did you see any results from that?
To be fair, it's very hard to gauge one specific appearance. I have a Rolodex of appearances. I can't count them off the top of my head, but I've done a fair amount of press. We've had clients come to us and let us know that, we saw you on TV. But overall, it's a credibility builder, so that even if, let's say, somebody does see you on your MSNBC interview, or someone did see me on the interview, when they see our brand, they'll remember us.
Mm-hmm.
Some people will pick up the phone and start asking questions and maybe schedule a consultation, but they'll remember you for the future. And that's the important part. The other part is it's brand recognition. To get on a platform like MSNBC is not easy, and it's not pay for play. They are there and you are there because they believe you to be an authority in the field.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something that if you're going to go in the direction of public relations, be prepared to not start with MSNBC, just to
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You're going to have to do some of the smaller channels, but all of it is building credibility. All of it is building authority. And it all comes to the same point that nobody's going to call you from MSNBC tomorrow because you have a pretty Google ad or, you have a nice website. It's going to be over time with consistency and authority in the industry.
And those smaller ones, I mean, they're great for experience too. I mean,
Absolutely.
everybody thinks they can do it until those lights go on and the camera guy says go, and you're like, the deer in headlights thing. I mean, you see it all the time, and you get that experience out of the way with maybe some smaller appearances, so that you're real confident when you go into those bigger ones.
Absolutely. The worst thing you can do is, muff it when you have an opportunity with a big platform.
Totally.
So absolutely, I'm so grateful that the smaller platforms that gave me a shot gave me that experience, so that when I got to places like MSNBC and Fox and Crisp and a couple of other major publications and interviews that I've done, that you have that confidence level because it's a go moment. Understand, there is not enough time for prep. If you're going in this route, a lot of the times they're calling you on the fly. It may not be 10 minutes before, but it can be an hour before because it's news, right? Things happen by the minute. So if there's some major verdict that came out at 3 p.m. and now everybody's all over it at 5 p.m., you have to be there in the moment. And that means you have to prepare. But you can only prep so much. Like any newscaster, they have a script that they're following, but there are follow-ups. There are additional questions. There might be industry-specific stuff. There might be long-term effects that you need to be able to move on your feet. So take the time, practice, and thank your blessings if you're able to have those smaller opportunities. So when the big ones come, you're ready to go.
Content can be a time-consuming process. I'm a podcaster. I do content myself. It can take time. There's no doubt about it. What do you say to lawyers who might say, "Oh, I don't have time for this. I don't have time to deal with this. This isn't for me"?
My opinion is you're doing a disservice to the community and you're doing a disservice to yourself, primarily to the community. You as a professional have a duty. This is not an entitlement. This is a privilege for us to be able to serve our community as professionals. And you have to view it that way, as you have to give back because you've been given this platform. You've been given the opportunity to be a professional here. And you always have to remember that. And it doesn't matter what level you're on. So to say you don't have the time, my opinion is very simple. If you want to do something, you'll find the time to do it. If you don't want to do something, you'll find an excuse not to do it. So to say, I don't have the time, respectfully, you do. You just choose not to do it. And it's okay. PR is not for everybody.
Sure.
Interviews are not for everybody. Podcasts are not for everybody. But you do have a duty to the community. You have a duty to the general public, regardless of what profession you're in. Keep in mind and be mindful of the fact that not everybody can afford your services. Not everybody can afford to hire you. And the least you can do is to provide them with the bare minimum without necessarily giving them advice that they're relying on, but to serve as a resource so that they're able to do the things that would otherwise cost them a lot of money that they need to use to put food on the table and to pay their rent and to take care of their families. So at a minimum, if you're not going to do it for yourself, do it for the general public and do it as a service to your community.
Do you have are there any things that you find have worked better for you over the years? Like, is the podcast, I hope it's the podcast, obviously, but the podcast or the interviews or blogs or videos, like what do you find for you that's worked the best?
Kevin, I have to be honest. It's going to be a combination of all of the above.
Mm-hmm.
There's no one thing that I can point to and say that this is better than the other, because people are different. Some people enjoy reading. So I publish a lot of content where it's just articles on relevant topics, things that can help our clients or things that can help the general public. Some people don't like to read, so they like visuals.
Right.
So we'll do videos and we'll shoot podcasts where we're giving you the same information, but you don't have to read. So I can't really say that one thing is better than the other. Being well-rounded is most important. It doesn't necessarily have to be every day, but make it your business to make a regular attempt to write some content, publish a blog, write an article, shoot a video consistently. Consistency is really what it's all about. And it's fair to say that not everybody has the time to do this every day or every week, but you do have the time to do it every couple of weeks or once a month. You just need to commit yourself and understand that this isn't about you. This isn't a self-serving idea. This is about your service to the community and your duty to provide those who cannot necessarily hire you with at least a level playing field on information, if not service.
Do you feel like some lawyers think that what you're talking about here is just giving away their services? Is that one of the reasons they might be resistant to it?
That very well may be a reason. And, I speak about this a lot. There's this old mentality that still exists in any profession, but particularly in the legal profession, where everything is under lock and key and you can't get it unless you pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
People are still stuck with that mentality, not realizing that Google's out there, YouTube is out there, AI is out there.
Yep.
So a lot of what you think is only something that is readily available. It's whether or not people know how to use it. That's where we come in. Because just because you have the information, that doesn't mean you're going to make the right decision. That's why professionals get paid to do their service. But yes, I'm sure there's a group of lawyers out there that aren't exactly thrilled that we're giving away educational information, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. Because in our practice, we make it a must that you must provide to the public. You must give back. And even if it's not to hire you, it's to make sure that people have access and that people remember you and that you've left a positive footprint on the community. If everything you're doing is self-serving, then what's the point? Why are we here? Focus on your brand if you can. But if people don't realize that you're genuine and you're really here to help, why would they hire you? What makes you different? What sets you apart?
Mm-hmm.
If you're just another person that's out there to make a quick buck. We don't believe in that in my firm. I don't believe in that. Our team doesn't believe in that. This is a service you provide to your community. So if some other lawyer's feelings get hurt, I'm sorry about that. But we're living in a different world. So if I can help educate, then I will help educate. And if as a result it happens that you're able to do something on your own, wonderful. If you can't, you always know you can call us. Either way, it's a win for me.
That's really cool. I like that. When it comes to repurposing content, do you reuse stuff a lot? Do you try to always create new stuff, or, because I know a lot of people, they'll turn podcasts into blogs into podcasts, videos into blog, those to kind of do that kind of stuff. Do you do a lot of that?
To be honest, we blend. We'll have an article with video or an article with a podcast maybe put together. But my firm puts out so much content that we don't necessarily need to reuse and recycle. We're publishing almost daily, where I'm putting out, a podcast at least once a week. We're putting out videos regularly. So I understand why people retarget and reuse content.
Sure.
And it definitely has a purpose. Certain things like your brand videos and your how-tos, those you're going to repurpose. But there's so much to talk about. There's so much going on today in our world on a minute by minute. I can't even say day to day because things are changing so quickly. It's so easy for you to find a topic that's relevant to the public that you don't necessarily need to repurpose. I understand why people do it.
Sure.
But if you have the time, and again, to me, that means you have committed to it, to make the decision to create the content, not make the excuse that you don't have the time. Just read a newspaper, go online, take a look at what's relevant. There's so much out there, and people have real questions. And the problem is this as well as I do. People are afraid to ask questions. People are vulnerable. They don't want to sound like they don't know what they're talking about. In some cases, they don't want to ask certain questions. And I want to get ahead of that so that when you do come to me, I've given you as much as possible so you're as educated as you can, not just on credibility, but what your options are without necessarily me having to repeat. Of course, I'll affirm certain things when I need to, but you're already coming through the door with so much knowledge and so much power. Our job is to guide you in the right direction, and that's my responsibility.
I want to finish up with this. I think a lot of, for lawyers that are just starting out, they're like, maybe they even hear this and they go, you know what, Russell's right, I got to get on this. How can lawyers start building authority with zero presence? Like, where is there a certain jumping off point, if you will, that you recommend?
Writing is going to be your best friend. Just find something that's relevant to your field. The world of law is so vast. There's so many areas. There's so many niches within the world of law in our profession. There's so much going on in the world that's relevant. Just sit down and write your first article. It doesn't have to be that long. It just has to be long enough and effective enough that you're keeping people engaged. And once you start with your first, it makes it easier to write your second and your third. And if you're getting into the world of public relations, if you're doing videos, start with the YouTube video. How-to videos are your best friend. You can write your script, you can lay it out for yourself, you can hire a consulting company or a company that can help you build or draft content. And there's AI. There's so much out there that it's so easy to create content. You can't rely on AI because unfortunately it's in such infant stages right now that there's so many errors, and it drives me a bit frustrated to see people relying on ChatGPT so much, because it's a scary place to be when you're just repeating what this software is telling you. And the worst part is most of the time it's wrong.
Right.
And people are relying on this stuff as it to be fact. So be careful with AI, but at the same time, you can use it as a base. You can use it to structure the simple stuff, and the substance you can fill in yourself. And over time, you get comfortable. When you do your first video and you do your first podcast, and you write your first couple of articles, it starts to flow naturally. And you start to enjoy it. Whether you're getting feedback or you're not getting feedback, that's already a plus. If it's working as a marketing engine for you, it's wonderful. That's a great way to use it. But I genuinely enjoy creating content. I love what I do. I love sharing it with people, and I love making it readily available. So you get that shot of dopamine that runs through you when you produce something good, when you deliver a good piece of content, when you write a good article, when you generate a good podcast or video. It feels good to do good. So if not for anything else, and I'll close with this, I think it's fairly evident that for me, public service is extremely important. But if for you, it's about self-serving, that's great. Content does that for you. It serves as a marketing tool. And not every professional has the money to throw at Google or to buy leads or, some paid form of advertising. Your organic, original content is your best friend. It costs you nothing to create but your time. So if you're not going to do it for public service and you're not going to do it for the general good, then do it as a means of generating business, as building authority, as recognition in your community, to drive traffic to your site. And if nothing else, do it for yourself if public service is not your top priority.
All right, good stuff. All right, well, if you want to stop chasing clients and start attracting them, the work starts with you. For more insight from Russel Morgan and his team, visit morganlegalny.com. Don't forget to subscribe to Obsessed with Success. Share the episode, leave a review. We very much appreciate it. Russel, I always enjoy talking to you. You always get me all inspired, and I'm ready to go start creating content of my own. Thanks, buddy.
Always, Kevin. Always a pleasure. Great to see you. Can't wait to shoot our next episode. Hit the like and subscribe button. Check us out at Morgan Legal NY on our website at morganlegalny.com or 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 888-529-1315. Till next time. Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.